I don't know how many other people are going to join us. We did invite a few guests on this session.
So
Anyway,
welcome everybody to our first group session. Is what do you call it, Marvin?
subscribers.
Subscribers. This is a little bit different because we are forming this, not a group consciousness per se, but a group collective. So what I was talking about before we started was that there's a lot of things that we experience in our individuality that we believe is isolating us from everyone else, like nobody else could understand it. But if you get together like this and you take notes, you can realize that we're all going through a similar thing in our own microcosm, meaning our own individuality, as the collective, meaning the macrocosm. So whenever I'm going through something, I have to, if I'm going through something, it means someone else is going through something because I'm so even keel, right? That's my story and I'm sticking to it. Look at his face. Look at his face. Anyway, so, but I do know how to like find the indicators. And so this extreme exhaustion, like needing to sleep, a few of you have noticed that, where you just can't get enough sleep. That's part of the collective experience. Now, if you don't check in with people like ourselves, then you'll think that, wow, it's just me and there's something wrong. There's either a health issue, or I'm lazy, or I got to check things out, or whatever, I'm overwhelmed. But if you realize that a lot of the things that we're experiencing together, it can help you to more relax and to releasing them. Another one is feeling isolated, like feeling like you're having an experience that you can't even articulate how frustrating it is, but you're alone in it. Nobody else would understand. Well, if you think about it, a lot of people are trapped in fallout shelters, and they're hunkering in around the world. So whenever you're going through something and you think you're the only one who's feeling it, a technique to do is to think about who in the world would be feeling this experience, like really. Like, because for us, it's just kind of surreal. That's why we question our own sanity or balance, because it's so surreal and we don't have outer indicators of what we've experienced. But the people on this call and the people who connect to us are so sensitive that they don't understand. They're feeling the experiences of the collective, and it's just so overwhelming. And the more open you are, the more you're willing to experience it, but the more you're willing to release it, though. So when you're feeling all these things, instead of taking it in and trying to identify it in your individual life, just relax into it and just let it go. Therese had an interesting thing. Can I share about what you had an issue with?
Yeah.
So I connected with her because I was like feeling isolated, and I could rightly so feel isolated because I'm on the other side of the world and all my comfort zones are gone, and I'm in a happier, more peaceful, more loving place, but still all those crutches are gone. So it would be normal for me to feel like I'm homesick if I had, people besides Michelle and Therese to go home to. But so I started talking to Therese, and I mentioned that she knows how to outflow. And she knows how to outflow, and she didn't feel safe outflowing all the time right now, because there were indicators, like signs in her life, like this 18-wheeler got stuck in her little street, and it was just indicators that it feels like she's not safe. She goes, I don't know how to keep outflowing and putting my energy out there and expanding it as big as the world if I'm not safe. I said, well, you don't. If you're not feeling safe, then you pull your energy in and contract it. and pull it into yourself and just hunker in place for a little bit. And she didn't know that that was an option. And of course it's an option. If you're only doing this all the time, if you're only expanding your consciousness like I do, as big as a galaxy, and then you're going to feel the ripples of life. But if you can sense a ripple coming in and you can constrict your energy down to the individuality, then what you're doing is protecting yourself. And that was profound for her. Michelle, you get that too now? I'm sorry, I didn't understand that you guys didn't understand. But I was doing that. I was doing that yesterday. Is I was like going, if you don't know how to do it, just go into fetal position, pretend you're a child and have the blankets wrapped around you and just tuck yourself in. And then that's teaching yourselves how to contract like that. And you have to do that. You have to protect yourself because you're not waiting for someone else to protect you. I mean, of course I will. I'll go to bat for any one of you and I'll kick ass on anyone in energy who tries to do anything to you, obviously. And I know when that happens, by the way. But your job is not to become reliant on another being. That's what we're breaking the habit of. So when we break out of our comfort zones, that's what we're breaking for humanity. Now, for humanity, turn into the male energy is a comfort zone. Diminishing themselves is a comfort zone. Going to a doctor every time they want validation and paying a crap load of money to find out you're okay is a comfort zone. Thinking that you have a disease coming on is a comfort zone. Attacking each other is a comfort zone. We're changing these comfort zones where you can exist in energy where you don't feel the need to defend yourself all the time. And the way you do that is you learn to contract your energy when you need to. And there's more I was going to say about that. So just think of life, and I don't know if you guys realize it, but it's not just the lungs that expand and contract, but all of matter contracts and expands. So when you are doing this, when you're putting your energy out and pulling it back in, you are actually contracting with the universe and expanding with the universe. You're learning to become your own galaxy. That's what we're doing here. It's not about being one little human and a speck of dust on a planet. It's about being the galaxy as much as you can, and for making your intentions for humanity and the collective as big as you can, but then also making these intentions as big and strong as you can for yourself. Now, some people are better at one than the other. Some people are better at givers, outflowing and doing it for everyone else. And some people we call takers are better at doing it for the individual, for their own body. And those people might seem like selfish in a way, but they're just experiencing the contraction part, and they might experience it for a whole lifetime or a whole bunch of lifetimes. And that's what Marvin is working on with business now. Businesses contract to the most selfish point imaginable. And now Marvin with my help is going to teach business to expand again in consciousness. And that's one of the things we're doing here. But part of that is teaching all of you guys to basically do what I do as far as expand and contract. And when you feel those things from the collective, just let them flush through your body. Imagine yourself as big as a galaxy and just dilute them and just watch them leak out and not affect you. Stop saying, oh, I must be tired. Oh, it must be that time of the month. Oh, I must be coming down with something. Oh, I ate something wrong. There's nothing wrong. You're perfect. Anything that you do is perfect. Just incorporate more awareness into it and be more kinder with your microcosm. Be as kind to yourself as you are kind to the world and to others. Does that help?
Yes. Yes.
So,
Should see if there's a question.
yeah, please. This
I
is the time for
remember,
questions.
I remember in the early days when Jen and I were interacting, we'd just have hours and hours worth of conversations about, you know, various spiritual topics and understandings. And it was, you know, it was pretty informative. I can't
Yeah,
repeat them all now, but it's pretty.
well, for you, it was like a difference. Why is what you tell me different than other things that I've heard other places? And that's true. I mean, I don't read. I'm not like, you know, I finally heard someone talk about shadow work, and I didn't know what shadow work is. Basically, shadow work is everything that I do is, but why give it such a dark name and stuff? So it's like, people call it shadow work, but I'd rather call it like coming into the light or whatever. So it's just, I don't read other stuff out there because what we get here is from direct knowingness, and it's cleaner. It's not have other people's opinions or their filters on it. And that's what you guys should be attaining, is when you get a truth. I can't wait till you guys all outgrow me and say, oh my gosh, no. And it might, you know, it could take years, it could take days and stuff, but when you guys get your own understanding in something. Now, lots of times people will come along and they'll do that, but they're not doing it from direct knowingness. They're coming at it from ego. And they have to do that from ego and stuff because they can't tolerate getting more. The ego wants them to get off the truth train or whatever. And so they take as much as they can. And Therese, you've watched people come and they seem so open. And then they hit this wall and then they start to like resent something. But it's the ego, like non-atom and stuff. And so what they do is they totally reject everything that we talk about, everything about truth and stuff, and they formulate it on their own. But there's still an ego. You can tell the difference. How do you tell the difference? I'll ask you guys questions if you want to ask me questions. How do you tell when someone's in ego and when they're in truth?
So it's softer, sort of. The way it hits you, it's just, there's a vibration of movement. There's nothing stopping. There's a suddenness, a hardness to the ego.
So that's great. And then on television, we watch a lot of these political shows. And I've been trying to show you, because people think that there's two sides to everything, but there really isn't. There's truth, and then there's truth, and then there's lies, and there's self-importance, and there's service. And sometimes there's both of those on both sides. But if you're weighing it, usually you can tell when someone is more into service than self-importance and stuff.
I'll tell you a joke.
Okay, yeah.
So in Oz, there's a joke that says, you know, in relation to a politician, I knew he was lying because his lips were moving.
Oh. They're cute. Oh. So, oh, baby.
Also, Jen, you've shown me how I can almost see distortion now on faces, where, you know, who's not telling the truth, and there's a non-distortion.
How do you see that? Explain it.
Well, I'll just go for, I've never tried to articulate, but there's something not lining up, or else it, you know, their mouth might look off, but then it's not just physical, it's energetic. I almost feel uncomfortable looking at them. I begin to feel uncomfortable in my body looking at them when they're talking.
Yeah, usually it's it's not a physical appearance, but it can come across. So this is the thing about in America, physical beauty is so revered, but it's not because of like in politicians that they're supposed to be look good or whatever. But what they're doing is trying to find people who can hide the distortions. And you watch it, people become politicians, and at first you're like really like young and stuff and and good looking, and the more they lie, the more they get twisted. You can see them become ugly, literally ugly and stuff. And it's like what's happening in the world is we've been stripping layers off of all these power mongers, where years ago, say 10 years ago, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between someone who's lying and someone who's telling the truth. But with all the energy we've been doing with the tapping, you can now actually, more individuals can tell who's sincere and who's not. So it's just one of those things that we've been stripping layers off that for over a decade now. What else?
Guys, questions?
Michelle, I know. Questions, please. This is your time.
I have a question.
Okay.
A colleague of
Answer.
me, a
sorry,
colleague
what?
of me, he died 2 days ago suddenly,
Mhm.
and I think he stepped out of life. And my question is, because he missed his wife, she died a few years ago. My
Mhm.
question is, will he join his wife, or will he be stuck somewhere? Is it good to make the choice?
Well, see, the thing is, it's hard in this society, in American society, to say it's good to make that choice, because then there's so many people opting out through suicide that you never want to say it's good to make that choice. It's never good to, did he kill himself?
I'm not sure. They didn't announce it.
Okay. So so when you kill yourself, it's a little bit different, because it's almost like a violation of spiritual law, and then there's other hoops to go through. But my sense is with him is that he was a peaceful, kind of calm person, and what's happening in the world was just too much for the psyche. So every individual is feeling what the collective is going through. Like when we get cancers in our body and they say, oh, meat is carcinogenic or dairy is carcinogenic, it's actually the emotions of the animals and the pain that you're ingesting in them. So so with him, it feels like he is returned to his wife, and it feels like it was a shock to everyone else, but that's where he wanted to be. And it feels like he might have wished to take his life, but I'm not sure he had the guts to, not that it takes guts or whatever. So if it was just that, he would have went years ago, because he did want to be with her so bad. But I think they're fine, and I think they live a peaceful life. She does something simple, like with grains and baskets and stuff and cloths, so she seems pretty happy. I don't know if she's got a little see, the astral plane is a lot like the physical. So what it's like for you in the physical is similar to what it's like in the astral plane. So my sense is she's got this little routine of like grain and going to a little farm setup, like a farm market, or a little, I don't know what you guys call them there, where you can get produce or whatever. Yeah. And she sells fabrics, grains, baskets, something like that.
Oh, that's so nice. Yeah.
Dried flowers. Yeah, but she seems really happy. So he seems like he's helping her now. And she's a little bit like bossy with him and telling him how to do things because she knows it and stuff, but he's happy to catch up. The thing that people don't understand is we visit this world. When we go to sleep at night, we're visiting the astral plane. So the husband and the wife were together during the night. And then when he wakes up, he forgets.
Okay.
He forgets that he was with her. And then he cries in the day. And then at night they laugh again, how silly that was and stuff. And this is the process every night of doing that. It's so funny. But we're together with them. And it's just in the physical that we get to the point where we turn it off because we were programmed to think that we're separate, but not so much in the other realms. Does that help?
Yes, for sure.
Okay, good.
You know what that
happy and
reminds
he's-
me of? You remember that movie Lady Hawk? You remember that movie?
Yes, babies.
You want to explain it?
You explain it, babies, because
Oh, I'll try. So a guy and a girl, they were kind of sort of in love, but they were out of phase, if you like. So during the day, he was the man and she was a hawk. And during the night, she was a woman and he was a dog or a wolf or something like that.
something like that.
Something like that, yeah. And so they could never interact. They had like 5 or 10 seconds where they could see each other just as the sun was sort of, transitioning.
And they can just barely touch each other, and they could almost sense each other's touch, but they couldn't.
Yeah.
And so they, the whole movie was about them removing that curse, and then, yeah. But you and I felt like the lady in the hawk at the beginning because, the sleep patterns, but we went on to similar sleep patterns and everything. Now the spell is broken, baby. The spell is broken.
Yes, it is.
Oh, Angie, can you tell us about, Angie reached out a couple days ago for an exercise for her husband. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, he's having with certain issues in the legs. He's finding difficulty, to trust himself to even walk. And I was talking to Jen about it, and she gave me this wonderful technique that I tried out last night or yesterday evening. And it was fascinating because the left leg, he finds extremely.
Can you tell him what it was? It's really a simple thing. It's really like it's called myofascial release. And so you take the leg that's down and you just put your hand under the heel and just hold it. And the leg will automatically start unwinding the myofascial tissue in a way that's helpful. So I taught her how to do that. Just lift the leg and let it do its thing.
Yeah. And it was extremely weighty because it just felt like that initially. And but as I held the heel, the leg did move completely, like on its own. And Hugh was kind of looking at me, I was looking at him, and we just let it do its, whatever it needs to do. And after a while anyway, he wished to have it down, so I let him lie it down, and then I proceeded to do it on his right leg. Now he was able to lift that leg a little easier, and so I placed my fingers again underneath, and there was a lot more movement on that for definite, and it was absolutely fascinating because I knew I wasn't doing anything. I knew Hugh wasn't doing anything, and yet the movement was absolutely fascinating. So I went back to the left leg again, but this time he was able to actually lift it up and raise it up himself. And so again, I placed my fingers at the base of the heel and I held it. And there was a tremendous amount of movement in the leg, a lot more. And I continued with that until basically you knew sort of when to place it down again. And I did the same on the right leg again. And in order for him to stand up, there was a great difficulty as well from a sitting position. And he said he needed to go to the bathroom. So I said, yes, sure. Okay. And he was getting himself prepared because there's a bit of preparation in order for him to get his hands in a steady position, because he just doesn't trust himself to stand up. But he just stood up. He just stood up and he walked correctly, if you know what I mean. He was in military situation when he was about 16, 17. And he always walked very straight, but he had been beginning to slouch a lot. And he actually stood up correctly, if you know what I mean. He was able to bring his head up because he's been continuously going in on himself physically. And the head was going down and the chin into the chest. And I wasn't seeing Hugh at all for a while. But yesterday evening, just after that very short session, I mean, it could have been longer than I think, because I don't look at time, I don't see time. But he walked down to the bathroom and he walked back again, and he was really walking heel to toe. Up to that, he was stomping because he was trying to find the ground as he was walking and making sure that he was positioning himself on the ground so that, you know, he felt safe and steady. So we went for a walk even this morning down by the bay. We have a beautiful bay down here. And he was able to go and take a walk this morning, which was, it's been a little while for him to do that. So that was really very, very nice, because the sun in Ireland, we get 4 types of seasons in one day. But today we got a lovely summer's day. We really did. It was beautiful. And the tide was in, so the water was, you know, lapping. It was absolutely beautiful. It was just gorgeous. And to see him enjoy that and feel that, and to actually breathe in the oxygen that the body needed as well, in order, obviously, for the function of the body, was, for me, such a leap. And it was a leap of faith for Hugh. And it was just fabulous. It was just, and so I will continue to do and use that technique. But I didn't have a name for it. So then, yeah, but it was fantastic.
But I want to tell Angie, you can do the same thing with the head. Now lift the head at the base of the skull with your hand and just lift it up. And then it'll start doing this, and just guide it with, I did this to Marvin. Remember I did that to you, and you said, you're moving my head. I go, no, baby, you're doing it. And it just, and then it'll unwind. So you'll get that in the neck as well.
Yeah.
And try to take out the pillows, have them flat, and just get his head, and just do that and see how that works as well. That might help his mood too, to like unwind the neck and everything, because you want all that good mind energy to get into the body and stuff. Okay, then he'll feel reconnected and everything.
Great. Yeah.
Carmen, do you have a question?
Yeah, just along that line. I've been doing all the taps that that I saw posted for Hugh on my father, because he was going through a fall, and pretty much the same thing Angie's talking about. My father's going through that. So I did all those taps on his behalf. We did a couple more taps last night. And so I'm going to try and do that for him too when I see him again with the heel. He's not standing up. He's not walking right now. So,
okay. There's another one you can do for your dad, because he's got some upper back issues and stuff. Is there any way that you could come in here, babies? or you don't want to? I want to demonstrate how to do it.
Yeah, that was my question. I was trying to picture what.
I just wanted to see him.
Thanks.
Can you hand me Gumby and I'll use Gumby for the legs to show it? All right, but for the hands, so when he's,
Okay.
no, I want to show him what to do with the hands. So imagine like he's laying down. No,
Well, they're not going to
Oh.
see the video.
okay. So he's laying down, right? And as he's laying down, take his hand and just pull it slightly. And just pull it, and then you'll start feeling it unwinding. And what it'll feel like is you know how there's a yo-yo thread? And
Yeah.
when your yo-yo is really twisted, you can feel it trying to unwind and do circles. Well, what you do is you'll feel this, and you'll feel it being like a string that's trying to unwrap. And you keep doing that and doing that as long as you can. And until you feel it, and it'll go on for a long time. Right? And then what you can do is bring it up to another pose and then pull it from this way. And then you could do it again from over the head. And then I even do, can you look that way? And then I even go from the other side of the body and do this. Now this is just some of the stuff I do in a hands-on session. In a hands-on session, I do like, how many, like 20 modalities at once and stuff. That's good. And I'll show her
Cool.
Gumby, thank you.
This is fun coming in here.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
Thank you, baby. So here on Gumby, this is how he doesn't like his tag on there. Sorry, Gumby. So what you do is all you do is have him flat. You know, take his pillow out so he's flat. All you do is take the heel and just lift it, and then it'll start moving. And then Gumby, I'll start doing these things like this. And then it'll go like this, and it'll really surprise you how far it'll go. The funny thing is I haven't had training. I have to tell you, I haven't had training in myofascial release. So I'm not an expert in it. What I did have was a girlfriend who's paid thousands of dollars to go through it. And when she came back, she showed me a couple moves, and that's all it took. And that's how I've accrued a lot of modalities, is because the universe made sure that I would know how to do these things. And then he'll feel a real stretch like that and stuff. So try that with him and see how that works. And then you can try it with the head. I would start with the feet until you get that confidence. Now, Angie has that confidence because she watched it move. And so at first, you know, Gumby's going to move like that, and you're going to cradle his head. But also the arms is a really easy one to start feeling. You're sensitive to energy, right?
Yes.
You'll feel that, because I felt that right from massage school. And so you'll feel that little tug in there. And you can try it with different people. What I do for myself is, because I'd like a myofascial release, but I've been alone before, Myron. So what I would do is go out to a tree limb and find a tree limb that stretched me, and I would just hang on it. I would hang on one arm, and I could feel myself unwinding in that way, and then do it the other arm, and then do it together. And you can feel yourself myofascial release in your own self. Yeah, so that's helpful. Thank you. That was a good question. Anybody else? Patricia.
I have two questions because I'm new to the SFT protocols, and I wondered if it would be okay to ask a question related to those.
Anything you want.
Okay, great. So my first one is, does it make sense if you're doing the energetic cleanse or the positive SFT protocols to do them more than once?
Never.
Oh.
Never.
Okay.
That's the most important thing to understand. What you can do is, if you got a subject that doesn't feel complete, you get it from another angle. This is the best question there is, because if you do it every day or whatever, what happens is the ego or the mind comes in and says, oh, you got to do it again. Oh, you didn't do it this day. And it takes over. And then you lose the effectiveness of your great technique because the ego is like getting involved and knows how to sabotage you. So say you're doing it on an issue, say you're doing it with an X, right? It's the energetic cleanse or whatever. Oh, here's one. Say you're doing it with, you want to attract money, right? So say you're doing the, you do it on being poor. You know, we have there's tons of them on different belief systems of money. So what you do is on like being poor, empty bank, what's it called? Empty bank account, unpaid bills, expending more than receiving. So you find, what's some more ways of saying, wording that for tapping on money without saying the same statement?
Lack of abundance.
Yeah, lack, yeah. So all blockages to abundance. And so you can word it a million different ways and then do it every day, but just don't do it the same way twice.
Okay. And then as a corollary to that question, if someone expresses the goal to you and you want to help them, is it okay or not okay to do like a positive FT protocol on their behalf? Like, I guess not thinking that they'll do it, so you kind of do it with their intention for them. Does that not work, or is that, how does that work?
There's a lot that goes with it. You have to, you can't use these for to intervene. Like if it's always uplifting, that's great, but you don't know what this soul needs. Like say a mother would do it for their child, like the child wants to go to art school and the mother does it for them going to be a doctor.
Right.
That would be wrong.
Okay.
Right? She would be doing that positive protocol for them to be a doctor and then taking them away from their true calling or their true desires. So when you do them for other people, you got to be very clear, very intuitive that what you're doing is for their best interest. And then you have to tune in, because before I put a tab out there, I don't know if people realize how scrutinized each word, each tab, each one is. So it's not violating any spiritual law. So if you don't know all the spiritual laws and you don't know the if you can't foresee the Akashic records of what you're putting in place, you want to be very careful of doing it for someone else.
Someone else. Okay.
So what you might want to do is introduce them to it. And if they're not open to it, then maybe there's a reason they're not open to it.
Right. Well, thank you for that. And I guess my third question is just, can you succinctly sort of tell me what PB&J really means when you use that term? Because I feel like I sense what it is, especially when Marvin does the tapping with you in the sessions we've had, but I'm not sure, and I want to really get clear.
Okay, so the reason I do what I do is because I don't have a very complicated mind. Like I try to understand metaphysical things. I'm very interested in metaphysical things and science and everything, but from the mind of a 5-year-old. So the peanut butter and jelly cleanse is naming the taps for two things that are always considered together, but they're done with the experience. So the PB&J is for peanut butter. If peanut butter and jelly didn't want to be a couple anymore.
Oh, okay.
It would have, and peanut butter could go its own way and jelly could go its own way. And then we never talk about jam. What happens to jam? I mean, jam could be always trying to insert themselves in that relationship. You never know. And the floozy of marmalade. Don't get me started on marmalade.
Thank you.
Do you have
Yeah.
any more questions? Because this is fine. I'm happy with
So
this.
with PB&J, is it when you sense a situation that there's a tension there? Like, is that where you intuitively go, well, this would be appropriate for a PB&J protocol? Like two things
Well,
that,
for me, it's like, yeah. And they could be totally different. That's the thing. So sometimes you want to do an energetic cleanse on something like sex, you know, or whatever, and you don't know how to word it. But like lots of people confuse like sexuality with money or with security or with gaining favor. So those are the things you want to unhinge from sexuality.
oh, okay.
So it's not just two people. Like if two people shouldn't be together, like an you can do that for other people when there's two people like who really don't want to be together. Like if you have someone who's a love bond and you know they don't want to be with their ex anymore, then you can do the PB&J for them and their ex, and that's an appropriate way to use it.
Okay.
If you know they're really, if you're close enough to know that they really are working on an issue and they can't do it for themselves. So the thing that I think about is, I think of God as us as the collective. All of us individuals are aspects of God, right? We're a consciousness of God learning to become our own galaxy or whatever. So as we're learning, we have to take on responsibility as much as we can in that without being a know-it-all or a Badinsky. So there's a lot of boundaries that go with that. So that's why we get to practice. And a lot of people are trained not to be empowered, and they train themselves or are conditioned to be the victim, and they're not actually moving towards the goal of being God conscious. But when you sense to help someone, and most people who are in the helping industry of some time or are hard workers or are outflowing are sensing that they have more empowerment than just being a victim of something. And so they move through that by outflowing. And so what we're doing is we're shifting everyone's individual paradigm from being a taker to being a giver. And that's when we'll see mass awakening, is when there's more of us doing this, outflowing, seeing ourselves as God consciousness and doing what we can. Now you see it sometimes in famous people who've seen the light and they've had experiences, but then they start to become like know-it-alls. And then they start to like tell people, well, I'm this and you should be this too. That's not it. That's being trapped in the mind, okay? Because as soon as you think that you're better than someone else, that's the trap. As soon as you think you know something more than someone else, like, you know, like they have nothing to teach you, then you're trapped. And it's very subtle, but it's, you know, I learn and I receive from every single one of you. And I would never presume that, you know, my way is the only way. I have a handle on it, but there's things you guys know about that I don't know about. And I know how limited I am in knowledge in different ways. But so when you're doing something for someone else and you want to gauge whether I should be doing this, think to yourself, are they praying to God for this? Are they praying for this? And if this is something they're praying for, then you're answering the call.
Okay.
Because that's what the collective does. It's like when someone's broke down at the side of the road, they're praying to God for help. And then a tow truck stops by and helps them. They're being answered from the collective, which is another being. Now, if all of society and humanity could get this, there would be no more judgment. There would be no more diminishing others, because you realize that God comes to an harm. And when you desecrate one being, you're desecrating God. And when you judge one, you're judging God. And so in that way, if we can see every other being as an aspect of God, it totally raises the bar. And then everyone has this space to realize that for themselves. Now, if you're saying to, this is how we trap people to say, oh, you're so sad, this is so sad, this is so pathetic. What you're actually doing is you're putting them in quicksand and saying, I'm better than you. You're below me. And that's actually a psychic kind of ploy. There's a manipulativeness to that. If you think everyone's sad, that makes you feel superior. So I have relatives who see everyone as sad and will talk about everyone who's having problems as a way to feel superior when they don't have a handle on their own lives. So the more you see someone as accomplished, like I see all you accomplished and God beings, that gives you the space to move into that with like a spotter or whatever. Isn't it much more freer to talk to someone who sees your empowerment than sees you as a victim?
Right.
So we have to do that for all others. And that one act can open up consciousness for the whole world. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This is really good because this is stuff that we don't talk about in other ways. So it might be nice if we shared this first one, Marvin, to show what happens, these beautiful conversations that happen in the subscription form.
People are comfortable with that, then I think that would be a good idea. We'd like to get more subscribers, obviously. I think Pearl has a question.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Yes.
Pearl.
Yes. Lately I've been feeling like certain energies off and on, but it's kind of new. So maybe I don't know what to identify it as or what it is. So I'm just being a little fearful. So I don't know if it's fear or what it is, if the collective or my stuff. So how could I handle that?
Okay, so fear is the natural way to handle other energies, because what fear literally does is it closes your energy. So and love and fear and regret close your energy. It's like the heart chakra. All the cells of your body are energy systems, not just the heart chakra, not just the 7 chakras, but every single one of them. And so when you're afraid, you close all those openings. So that's your own mechanism of getting used to it. Now, what's happening is because of the work that's happening, like we're doing with the task and everything, the world is opening up to new vibrations and new energies. And it's good to be able to trust whether they're good or bad. But it's not always possible to tell right away. Myron hears me scream maybe once a day when I see an adept in the house, and it's like, he goes, gee, you scared the bejesus out of me. And I go, well, I saw this adept, and I don't see the whole body. I just see the form, and it's like this 8-foot being standing watching me. And it's like, it could be scary at first. So it's okay to take your time with it, and you can ask questions of it. So here's the thing. Lots of people think, there's a way to tell if you ask questions to an energy, if they're demeaning in any way, if they're derogatory in any way, that means they're not. If they're controlling any way, if they tell you to do something or they instill fear in any way, back off, because loving energies will not do that. So my sense is to just be present with it. And if it's not coming to you in threatening way, just try to meet it where it is and see what the energy is. My sense is you're opening up to the adepts, the spirit guides, and they're there helping you. But you have to open it up to them at your own pace. So you can ask them questions and see what comes.
Okay.
Does that help?
Yes. Thank you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I'd like to ask Pearl a question, actually, just as a follow-up to this topic.
Yeah.
When you sense these things, is it in your dream state or are you awake and conscious?
She's awake.
Mostly awake, yeah. But the dream state is another different action movie. Anyway, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm present. Yeah, in my waking state, yes.
So
Some-
a fun.
I feel it in my sometimes I feel it in my body, that energy, whatever it is.
What's the feeling in the body?
And mostly in my stomach, I get it.
Is it like a knot?
Yeah.
Then that's not a good. If it's giving you dread, then that's not a good energy for you.
Mhm.
Yeah. A phenomena that's happening over in our house is Marvin insists that I'm asleep because I'm snoring the bejesus off, and I think I'm waiting to fall asleep. So I'm laying there waiting to fall asleep, and he wakes me up and says, "You're snoring." Do the imitation of me snoring, babies.
Babies. I'm not going to do
Anyways.
that.
Okay, it's very funny. Anyways, but so I think I'm not sleeping the whole night through, and I'm just tossing and turning. But apparently, I'm asleep. And
Oh,
he'll
you're fine. Well, look, if you're not asleep, then you're not conscious. You're somewhere else. Because what I do know is that you won't snore in a conscious state.
Well, I don't hear myself snore.
That's right. So that's another indication that you're probably not in a conscious state at that moment.
Right, but I'm laying in the bed in my just state, just waiting to fall asleep. So that tells you that I'm in my astral body, and it's so far removed from the physical body, I can't hear what the physical body is doing. But I think that I'm awake. So it's that close. The physical body and the astral body are so close that you can't tell the difference. So, and sometimes. And so I'm just laying there, and I'm asleep, and it's frustrating. It's something that people go through where they feel paralyzed when they're laying to sleep and they can't move. It's because they're not in their physical body. They're operating from their astral body. Or they feel like they're trapped. That's why. And it's just such a simple answer. And people go to doctors and pay, hundreds of dollars just for that information. It's so frustrating that this truth has been kept from people for so long that they can't tell truth from their own when that, it hits them in the face. Anyways, what else? Ashna, no, you asked the question. Oh, Carmen, good, okay. I knew there was another question out there. Yes. I can't hear you though, you're on mute.
I had a question about passing of like pets and stuff like that.
Passing pets?
Yeah, like how to make them feel comfortable with passing.
Oh, that's a great question. Humans put so much of their emotional pain on their pets, it's not even funny. So a lot of the pain that pets are going through is their emotions of their humans, and they're feeling bad for their humans. So what you have to do is just the opposite. Like you have to make them feel so excited about it. Like, oh, you're going to be in your puppy body again. Oh, you're going to be so happy. And you can actually make a contract for them that they can come back to you, which I have actually found my pet, Seema, after I had her for 10 years, and I went looking for it, and I found her in the puppy body. And the first thing I said to her, she was scared in her puppy body. When I held her, she was only like 4 weeks old, and I said, Seema, and her same voice, Seema, you're not going anywhere right now. You're playing with your brothers and sisters. You're too little. And she heard that voice and she just licked my nose and she felt safe and stuff. And when I picked her up, she was just ready to go. There was no fear and none of this crying or whatever. You can really do a lot of good for your pets is if you prepare them by saying it's a happy time. And just the problem is people make their pets old before they need to by treating them like they're getting older. So you'd never do that. They're constantly in the moment. They'll feel like they're young puppies until you start telling them they're old. Now, I remember when Seema was like 12, she used to get all these basically old women. I say, oh, what an old girl you get. Oh, she's suffering. I go, nope, she's in her puppy body. And she's a puppy. And they go, how old is she? And I go, she's a puppy. And they would get mad at me, but I didn't care because it made Seema bounce around better. Because I don't care about what people think if they're too stupid to know that they're like offending my dog. So I would never admit that she was old. And I would say, oh, to Seema. And just celebrate them more and make them excited about life and stuff and say, when you cross over, we're going to like put you to sleep. You're going to say goodnight and it's just going to be like sleeping. And it's going to be fine. And you're going to wake up in a puppy body and you're going to be really fine and happy. And you can come back in the physical if you want to, and we'll find you. It's up to you. And then just love them. It's that simple. Do you have a dog or a cat?
My best friend's dog, Elijah, we call him Bolt because he looks exactly like Bolt the cartoon. He just about an hour ago or so he was put down, and she did exactly what you mentioned. I did a lot of taps and just connected directly to him, like past lives and healing other trauma for him.
So is he a French bulldog?
He's like a terrier, I think. What is it? I'm not very good with breeds, but I think
white. White.
He's white with a little spot, a black little spot.
Right. So sometimes I can see the body, they'll come back, and I'm not always right. But
that's what she said she wanted to get next, was a bulldog.
Yes. And I think either a white one or a black and white one, because he's telling her his body.
Yeah. Oh, I'm getting chills all over.
Yeah. That's him telling her how to find him, and she will.
Perfect.
And don't.
And she mentioned that a couple of days ago. No.
Don't be caught up on the sex, because they can change sex. So Seema came in as the same sex, but sometimes don't let her, if she goes to the litter and she narrows it down and she goes, well, this one's a girl and mine's a girl. Don't go by that. Go by personality and the way that interacts with you and stuff. I actually needed someone to help me because it was so close to me to find the right puppy that was mine. And so when I was looking for my cat, our Pootie cat crossed, I knew it was going to come back as a black and white cat, right? So I went to, it was like a year later and stuff, and I went to look at this apartment, and it was in a weird neighborhood. I didn't like anything about the apartment. I didn't like the people. I didn't like anything about it, except they had a stray cat there, and she was pure white, and she was pregnant. I knew I was there for that cat. And I go, oh my gosh, do you have parents for the babies? And she goes, nope, you can have the pick. I go, I'll take the one that's black and white. Well, all four of them were black and white. And so they kept one because it was the runt. And I took the other three just to hedge my bet. So I had 3 cats because I couldn't tell which one was it. Until like Smudge came up and I go, this is Pootie, right? And Smudge came up and started like loving us, like, yes, I'm Pootie. Yes, of course I'm Pootie. So it's really nerve-wracking to go through that process of finding them, but it's really rewarding as well.
Very good. Yeah, my kiddo's gonna probably be getting a puppy this summer, so maybe we'll reach out to you and see if you can help us through the process. We've had another one, so we want to find the right one.
Absolutely. Yep. Sometimes it's not the same dog. Sometimes the same dog wants to move on, and sometimes,
That's okay.
Yeah. Good.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. How's this, babies? Is this good for today?
If you like, if people are comfortable, perhaps ask
Mike, do you
for
have
any more questions.
Mike, Michelle?
I was going to ask you something, Jen. I'm very good at picturing things, at visualizing things, but I have a concern that it might be ego that I'm doing that, or
It is ego.
okay, that's what I thought.
So the problem with how good you are at visualizing is you're tapped in the collective of male arrogant prick energy.
Mhm.
So it would be better for you not to visualize, because what you do is in male energy, they derail the right course of action for what they want. I mean, look what's happening in the world. One man is derailing the course of the earth for what he wants and he believes is right. So when you visualize things that you want to manifest the way that you do it, you might be squashing dreams the way they should be, or way, because the consciousness of who you are now does not know the ways that the world can open up to you in the future, because you're not at that consciousness. The example I use is Marvin 2 years ago would never have imagined he'd be sitting here with beautiful goddesses and doing energy work and being with me and stuff. He would have ran to the high hills if you would have told him that. And now it's like, as the more he accepts the inevitable, what's that thing that the Borg says? Resistance is futile.
Oh,
Remember what the
resistance
Borg
is futile.
in my case, in Marvin, resistance is futile. And so the more that he accepts, now he's editing the books and I wouldn't have had this presence at all. I didn't know how to do video. So everything that Marvin's doing, he's throwing all of his time and energy into helping me have a presence. And it's his commitment right now. And it's like, he wouldn't have done that. He wouldn't have done that, and he would have missed out on all this wonderful stuff.
I think what you're saying in relation to Mike's question is it's not particularly helpful to predetermine how things are going to happen. And that's my experience as well, is the more, because I practice visualization a lot. So before I met Jen, I was doing a lot of what I thought was spiritual work, but obviously completely different to the way Jen does it. But so I would visualize a lot. But the interesting thing that I realize now is that in that visualization, which was a very active process, so it was it wasn't a still meditation, but it was a process of meditation. But basically, what I realized I was doing is I was almost trying to, force the universe into a scenario that suited me, or suited another way of saying it is that the higher mind probably knows what you truly need, and your conscious mind is just sort of trying to, beat it into submission. But I think what I've worked out is that it doesn't work that way. So
I just got an idea. Can we do one tap for everyone here? Because Mike's been doing this up the yin yang, and I'm sure some of us else have been doing it. So you know how we talked about unwinding the myofascial? A lots of times what we're doing in this lifetime is unwinding those forced intentions. So, does that make sense? Do you get it, Marvin? Like those intentions that you put out there years ago are still unwinding to get to a point where you can move forward with them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this tap if you're willing. We immediately unwind all forced intentions.
just before we do though, because there's a whole bunch of people that are not muted. So either I can, if you're going to tap and you're not muted, perhaps you just do the tapping and sort of yeah.
Oh, I
just so
mute and say it out loud.
Yeah.
Michelle, do you want to mute, hon?
Yeah, good. So what was it? We immediately unwind forced intentions.
All our forced intentions.
So say it again.
We immediately unwind all our forced intentions
Yep.
in our moments.
Yep. We immediately unwind all our forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all our forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all our forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all our forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all our forced intentions in all moments.
Do you want to do just one more for the world? And we immediately unwind all the collective's forced intentions in our moments.
Mm-hmm. We immediately unwind all the collective's forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all the collective's forced intentions.
The wording's not right. All individuals' forced intentions.
We immediately unwind all individuals' forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all individuals' forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all individuals' forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all individuals' forced intentions in all moments. We immediately unwind all individuals' forced intentions in all moments.
Good one. So for homework, you guys could do a little bit more on that. You could do, Mike, you can do the energetic cleanse or the PB&J on that, or anyone who wants to do that. That'll be helpful homework for you guys. Now, when are we going to meet again, babies?
I think the standing thing will be Sunday, either 2 or 3 p.m. New York time. Generally, what we're going to be doing is we're now operating in Melbourne time. So what we might do is we might advertise them in Melbourne time and then just let everyone work out what time that is for them. But generally, we're going to be targeting around the 2 to 3 p.m. New York time Sunday, because I think that generally fits most people. So that's going to be our next session. And then when we do 2 in a particular week, we'll do it probably this time. So Wednesday, roughly this time as well. So we'll always do 1 a week, and more often than not, we'll do 2 a week. But sometimes we'll just do 1 a week, just depending on.
Okay. Sorry. And you guys have an opinion now. You guys are like, part of the crew. So you guys get to decide what you want to do. If you want to do tapping, if you want to do sound healing, if you want to do hear poetry for our new book, whatever. You guys tell us what you want. If you want to know about dreams, if you want to know about, different types of, forms of leaving the body, why it's important, why it's not. If there's anything out there that you are interested in and you're not getting your answers, just message us and we'll make that a topic for one of these groups. Yeah. Okay? Because this is for your growth. Everything here is for you guys. So we really appreciate your support and you being a part of our core group and stuff. And we really hope to like encourage other people to come in and be a part of this, because this is why we came here. This is why me and Marvin are together. We wake up every morning at between 3 and 4 and 5 in the morning and start working on stuff for humanity and stuff. I'm exhausted, people. Anyways.
So there's a range of things. Thank you for mentioning that. So on the menu of things that we can do, right? And we're very open, because this is the Genuine Healing Tribe, right? So we're very open and we want to make it as dynamic as possible. But the obvious things on the menu will be, we can do tapping from the SFT lexicon, right? So we can just pick 2 or 3 topics and just kind of tap through those. We can read from the poetry book. We can do sound healing. We can do, Heal the World, group tappings. We can do little sort of mini sessions, Q&As, anything like that.
We can do lectures on alternative forms of healing if you're interested in anything, or if you're interested in different vantage points on things, or want to talk about current events, or want to talk about doing on pets and how to heal pets, and how to communicate with trees, how to become a druid brigade, anything that's out there that you're drawn to, bring it here and we'll do it here. Okay.
Be useful to, if you've got a burning desire on a particular topic, just to email Jen, and then we can just kind of pick from that and then prepare a little bit. But most of it's going to be fairly ad hoc. I don't think we're going to be doing a lot of prep work. The reason why that's important, by the way, is when it's ad hoc, you know that it's not scripted. And so, whatever comes out from direct knowingness. So that's important as well.
Yeah. Well, good luck trying to script me, because I don't read very much.
Babies, I've worked out a long time ago that you can't be scripted. That's why the Jen and the Jamies are just such a treat, because I never know what's going to come out ever. It's always a treat.
Yeah, you guys got to look for. We did an activity that every young bride wants to do, and she looks forward to doing with her new husband. Brought tears to my eyes. We went and picked up. We shoveled our own manure and brought it back to our veggie patch.
So we're going to upload that video as soon as we finish this one. I was just about to upload it before we started, but then I thought we'll just clog up the internet a bit too much.
And just so you know, I'm not trying to focus on Marvin's crotch. It's just a Freudian slip or something. The camera just keeps going down there, so I'm not trying to. He didn't want to. So,
This is a family show.
I know, but you say, babies, why do you keep putting the camera on my crotch? I'm not doing it on purpose.
Yeah. It's one of these myofascial things, it just does it on its own accord.
Absolutely.
So we'll upload that video. That was just a little bit of fun. We just happened to know, we happened to learn about a cattle yard, and so they obviously collect all the cattle poop, and so people can just come and cow poop, and people can just come and take some away. So we did that.
Can I tell them this other fun fact that's kind of private?
I don't know. Am I going to be embarrassed?
Well, sure, but so what?
All right, go for it.
Well, newlywed, I've been really a modest person, and I've never walked around the house without, a robe on or something. So the other day, I was taking the opportunity and stuff, and I realized I can't do that, because our very good neighbor, we have windows at the side of our door. Our very good neighbor comes and knocks on the window and is looking in and stuff. So I realized that I always have to have a robe on inside the house. So I think it's very funny.
It's not that he's a nosy neighbor. It's just that our front door has 2 glass panes, so you can look through the door. So he came around the other day, knocked on the door, was looking into our hallway, and you did one of your screaming things. You weren't expecting to see someone.
I'm walking towards my bedroom, and this face pops up at me.
That's quite funny. But he's a good neighbor. He's a fun neighbor.
He's the one who told us where to find the manure.
Yeah. So anyway, have a look for that one on YouTube. That'll be a fun thing. So we'll throw that one up first. We will put this, if everyone's okay, we will put this one up on the public thing just to promote it a little bit. We'd like to see lots and lots more people subscribe, please. We'd like to see a regular crew.
before we leave, I want to just go through and do a release on everybody, just really quick, just breathe through. So as we're starting to hang up, you guys are starting to cling to the walls of yourself and start close down. Don't do that. Stay as open as you can. I'm doing you as well, Angie. I'm doing your friend too, Carmen. Tilly's already getting it. Michelle. Mike, I'm going to put my foot into all those doors. You got layers of doors you're trying to close, and I got my foot in all of them, so you can't close up. You're still healing from an old wound. Pouring salve on that old wound, Patricia. Don't wonder why. The wondering why will just drive you nuts. Just let it go. And you're here, so whatever happened, it worked. You're just my joyful sister now. Hang on to those plushes. Don't you give them to those nieces and nephews. You give them abandonment issues. I'm opening the top of your head for some reason. It's closed. I think it's stubbornness because you don't want to leave the body and do what everyone else does. That's fine. You don't have to, because we leave the body all the time. But you don't have to lock it closed. No one's going to come in and suck your soul out. Does that make sense?
Yes, because when you did your sound healing, I felt it open.
Good. That's what I was doing. You're safe. You're safe. You weren't always safe. That's the thing. You weren't always safe, but you are now. I'm doing your loved ones, so it's not such a burden on you. You as well, but your loved ones as well, because you work so hard. It actually tightens your energy up instead of relaxes it. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Pearl? Oh, I was doing Pearl. I just didn't want to say all these things. But everyone's getting everything. Does that make sense though?
Yes.
Stop saying in your mind that they're stubborn or this, they're that, because those vibrations close them more. Say the opposite. Say, aren't they open, wonderful beings? Even if you're laughing to yourself and saying, if someone's being a jerk and he's being really closed, say, wow, what an open, loving being you are, and laugh to yourself. That's your joke, okay? Babies, I'm doing a little bit for you so you can tolerate me a little bit more. He's a gem, a gem. Okay, that's better.
Job. Thank you so much, babies. Thanks everyone for joining us. Look forward to catching you next time. Please consider being a subscriber so you can participate in these things. They're going to be a great resource, and looking forward to sort of the tribe continuing on its spiritual journey and healing all of humanity. Anything else?
Love you guys. You have my love, and you have whatever I can give to you to feel safe and protected and empowered.
Thank you, babies.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, babies.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.